Wait, stop. That's the one. Welcome to ZEN TENN Speaks, a show where I make new friends and reconnect with old ones. A show where everyone's stories may inspire you to tell your own story. In this podcast, we encourage everyone to get rid of shame, guilt, fear, doubt, and judgments for themselves and for others, and replace those with love, empathy, compassion, understanding, kindness, and to do your best in everything that you do. In essence, to get rid of things that no longer serve your well-being. To be true to yourself and be honest with others. No need to be politically correct. That's out the window with 2020. Here, we tell the raw, uncensored story, your story, and tell the truth as you see it. Make sure you live your fulfilled life without permission or apologies. So, if you have a juicy, interesting, raw, unapologetic story and inspiring, please make sure to contact me at zentenn21@gmail.com. It is ZENTENN21@gmail.com. Or you can find me on most social media platforms. You know it. The IG, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, OnlyFans. I mean, not really. But yes, OnlyFans. Just kidding. Not. As you may guessed it, my name is Zen, and welcome to the show.
Exactly.
We're also science.
We are. Absolutely, we are.
So, and that's really important. And so the next question would be, is it something that has gotten better, or are you still struggling through it? Or do you think there will be an end of it through something you do? Like, as in, like, will it be curable through something that you know you can do that can cure it, or managing it better?
Great question. I've actually, so going back to what I said, like getting up and going walking, I have, like, again, I like to joke around with people. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. But when I'm by myself and when I go walking in the morning, it's when I have my really deep just thoughts. And I've thought about that. I thought about, is this ever going to go away? And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to. But I did try to see a positive side of it. And the way I see it is, obviously not everybody's going to go through this. Not everybody's ever going to be open about what they struggle with. And again, this is no way of me saying like I'm the best or like I've given this gift, but I do feel like God's put me in a position in my life where I can take what I have and I can turn it into a blessing. And I can take those things and I can help those who want to feel better about themselves. And so I'm trying to take a negative and turn it into a positive, because I like to, again, I am working on music, but I would like to finish up school and possibly go into motivational speaking, like talk to youth and help kids who are struggling. I think it'd not only be fun, I think it'd just be really cool to like relate to kids, like, you know, like, because I know so many kids now that are struggling, and they're like, again, the same age I was when I went through this. I'm like, you guys should be enjoying your life. You should be having fun. You should be going outside to play movies. Like, they just feel like they can't. And so to answer that question again, I don't think it will, but honestly, like, I think it's going to help people, you know, down the road. Obviously I'm going to do everything I can to prevent it. Obviously I would not ever want to live with it if I have the choice, but no, I'm still going to take my medication. I'm still going to go walking. I'm going to go see a counselor again once I have insurance. And I'm just going to do all those things that I'm supposed to do. Try to be a good example for those who feel like they're lost. And again, dude, suicide gets, they're getting younger and younger, and it's so scary. I'm like, poor kids, like feel like they have no other way out. they feel like because they're bullied or they have a bad home life or something happened to them when they were younger, they just can't handle it. And it breaks my heart that these young kids, not barely a teenager, are wanting to take their life or they're thinking about it. I'm like, again, that's a lot. That should never be on their mind, anybody's mind, really. So again, that kind of what fuels me to keep going is like, I don't want kids are going through that. And yeah, it breaks my heart because again, that's not what anybody should be thinking about. I think, as I said, kids should be outside playing, having fun, but they're just, they're just scared and they don't know. And some kids don't like going to school. And I was never a big school guy. Like I just didn't like it, but it's like, I would want kids to enjoy it. I mean, it's just like a job. They're going to spend a ton of their time there. Might as well make friends and stuff. And sometimes they feel like they can't have that, so they just take their own life, and it just breaks my heart. It really does. Every time I see it on the news or online, I'm just like, what more could we have done to help them? And if I'm able to share my story, again, talk about a chain reaction, I would share my story. They could share it with somebody else and pass it onward, and just hopefully just make the world a better place. So I hope one day that I can share my story, someone will pass that along, share their story, and just keep going. I think that's really important. So I'm going to, again, it hasn't gone away, but I'm going to look at it as a positive to help other people.
Right. And it is definitely important to share stories, as you mentioned prior, to talk to somebody, because that's one of the many reasons that I have the YouTube channel and the podcast, because I had something going on for me. And the person that we share so much deep, raw, intimate things with each other. And then that was just cut off like that. Right. And so the year of 2020 for me was about to stop shaming myself and to stop guilting myself, to stop judging myself and stop having fear. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do my best to inspire others. And that way I can inspire myself and be inspired by other people's stories as well, because I've spoken to so many people and I'm like, wow, I'm not alone. And second, I'm inspired by their bravery and their strength that they've gone through certain things. And it helps me stay focused, and it helps me like be grateful as well, because I went through heartbreak, really, like, and some people went through crazy shit. And it's like, why am I complaining about my heartbreak?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. It gives me perspective and it helps me stay grateful, etc. And one thing I want to go back on with when you talked about kind of like time is running out, like you're 28. When I was 35, I was like, oh my God, I'm such a loser. And I used to like use that word, I'm a loser. And then I had a friend that says, you're not a loser, stop saying that because you've done so much. And even her, again, I sent her a preview of my video and she says, and it's nothing I ever thought about. She told me, I'm so inspired how we talked often. So whenever I have an idea, I just do it. And she says, I'm so inspired by you. You just do whatever you want to do. I should do more of that in my life. And I never thought about that. And I was just like, oh, you know what? Thank you. I guess I'm not a loser, but I was thinking I am, because I'm comparing, and we most of us are at fault of comparing. I'm comparing my outward success with someone else and saying, I do all these things that I want to do. Basically everything I want to do, I just do it. But then my success story is not as someone else's success story outwardly. But I would say this one thing, as she and I talked about, I am personally successful in my personal life because what I define success is waking up happy.
I agree with that. Absolutely. I always tell people that if you're happy, I think that's successful. I do. That's awesome. I love hearing that. Absolutely. Didn't want to cut you off there, but I just want to say awesome. That's great.
I'm grateful for that. Like I'm looking back, and of course I got to give myself a little credit, but not so much, because I can't really see. I usually say I'm blessed because I feel like I'm being blessed. I don't use the word lucky because I feel like people tend to say you lucky as if you didn't do anything about anything. I want to have a podcast like in September. September 2nd, I woke up, I was like, I'm gonna have a podcast. And there we are.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
but if someone can say, oh, you lucky, I'm like, no, I had to find people, I had to have people to respond to me. I had to create rapport. I had to edit and I had to buy equipment. That's not luck, but I'm blessed that I'm healthy and I'm able to speak, and I'm blessed that I have people like you who agree to talk to me. Those things are blessing. They're not luck.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, you're blessed, and I can't wait to hear more of your podcast, man. I love the way you do things. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad I'm blessed to know you, and I'm blessed to listen to the rest of your podcast. I really look forward to more episodes and hearing other people's stories. I really do think, especially now, especially like with everything going on, and now I think this podcast is going to help people. I really, really do. I think everyone's going to hear those stories, obviously not just mine, but people going forward. I think they're going to be like, this is awesome. And it will be shared and people will listen to it. And I think I'm just excited to hear it myself. I'm already a fan, so I'm super looking forward to it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Yeah.
What is your Mormon story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was raised in the church. My dad is a convert. He joined when he was, I think it was about my age. I think it was about 27, 28. My mom's always been a member. And my dad and her met. My dad was in the military. My dad had a friend who was single, and then that was my mom. And then they met. They started talking, and I was born in 93. So again, I've been a member since the day I was born. And I obviously, when I was a teenager, I kind of went through that phase of like, I don't want to go to church. It's too early. It's boring. I don't like this. It's just, typical teenage stuff. And there was a time I was like, I don't want to go. I was like, this is my only day to sleep in. Like when I was a teenager, I'd sleep until like 12:30, 1 p.m. I'm like, this is way too late in the afternoon to be sleeping. I'm like, it's just too late. So I would play Call of Duty all night with my friends. And I was like, yeah, okay. But no, my parents essentially gave me the choice. Like, obviously, when it came to that time where I was like, all right, it's time to go on a mission for your church. I mean, 2 years, they gave me the choice. They didn't force me, which I thought was really cool. Because I always had that feeling of like people would force that feeling on their kids, and my parents didn't force it. And because I'd be the first missionary in my family, my dad was too late to go. He wanted to, but he was too late to go. And my mom didn't go. And so I'd be the first missionary in the family because I'm the oldest. And that was the first time I ever really prayed. And I asked God, like, look, I need to know, like, if I'm really going to do this, like if I'm going to give up the music, everything else that I love, I need to know if this is right. And I had a feeling that I should. And I was still kind of like, I don't know if I should go, but I made the choice and I went. And I got to be honest, I am so glad I went, because and again, I believe personally you can be a good person without religion or anything like that. But for me, since I feel like it's the right path, I feel like if I didn't go, I feel like I would still be the same person I was when I was younger. Just, I wasn't really like rebellious, but I just had a bad attitude. I was selfish towards everything. I thought everything was about me. And I feel like if I didn't go, I feel like I wouldn't have changed the person. And I wanted to change. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the man who I could be. And so after I came home, like those values just never went away. Like I always try to care about people. I always try to help people. And so I would say, like, I had to make the choice for myself. My parents never forced it. When I was younger, they were kind of like, yeah, you got to go. Once I got older, I was like, I made the choice to keep doing it. And my parents were like, we'll love you either way. But I was like, I feel like this is right for me. And I feel like this is the right path for me to go down. And I'm glad I stuck with it. And again, it's not for everybody. Religion in general may not be for everybody. And again, as you said, every person is a human. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Like they're allowed to live the life they want. It's just for me personally, because it's my life, I feel like the Mormon or LDS path is the right path for me. So that's kind of my story of how, of how I kind of became, well, still a member to this day is what I'm trying to say. Like I do believe on it. And for me, I think it's right.
Great. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love your conviction, and it's your life. It's your life.
Exactly. Yeah.
People are so worried about other people's lives. And I'm going to ask you a question later on, but when it comes to religion or political parties or even sexuality. People are so, oh my God, they have an opinion. And I'm like, okay, fine. Everyone has their opinion.
Yeah.
I think everyone can have an opinion about an item, but about someone's life, like,
right. Exactly.
Like, you're not God himself. Like, get out of here.
Exactly. I agree with that. Everyone has an opinion on everything. And it's like, if we can all just be nice to other people's opinions, like then we'd be better. But anytime you mention something political, sexual, it could be even like about a movie, people are still want to fight you to the death. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I just feel a certain way, but I still love you. That doesn't matter. You're still a good person. But I've gotten to fights about people that all the time, and like we shouldn't even be doing this. We shouldn't.
Right.
I
love how your parents were chill about you going to missionary or not, because as I've spoken to other people who said that they felt like they had to go so they can prove to their parents that they're a good person, or because they wanted to hold priesthood, or they wanted to find a girl to marry because they know if they didn't go, then when they came back, because I've spoken to a person, when they came back, they couldn't find a suitable girl because he didn't finish, he quit. And so basically, I'm not a Mormon, but like, I don't know all the terms or the rules, but it seems like from what he's saying that since he quit and he came back, like the girls in the congregation or the organization probably would be like, oh, you're not a suitable husband for me to spend my eternity life with. So he was like single for a long time. And so that was tough. And so it's like, it's a choice. So like, basically he felt like he basically forced himself so he could prove himself, but his parents did not force it either. And I've noticed when I've talked to a lot of people in the Mormon church, agency is a big thing. And I love that. I'm not in there, so I don't know, but they often talk about the free will in the agency and how they're, because I've spoken to one, I guess we're friends because we've spoken for months. And then I often say, because I know when I was Jehovah's Witness, I was not allowed to speak to anybody who's not Jehovah's Witness. So I mentioned that to him and I was like, hey, can we be friends? And is it okay? And he says, yeah, we have that agency to choose and we can be friends with other people. And as long as you're not going to be like, basically like bash him or saying bad things and say, hey, come on and join the devil.
Right.
As long as you're not doing that, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, we can be friends, you're cool and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like that's very nice. It's very loving and warming to hear. That's awesome. And you know that they've, I guess, or the majority of them have gone because of the support of their family instead of like, hey, you have to go or else.
Yeah, exactly. And again, my parents were cool, and there are a lot of people that I've talked to that felt like they needed to go to, again, as you said, prove something. But dude, I went on my mission. I'm not married yet. I'm just waiting for the right person, and that doesn't bother me right now per se. I mean, it does kind of, because it's like I wonder, like, who's that special person? I just wonder who it is. But it's like, everyone has so many stigmas about being LDS, like like all those types of things. And again, I agree. Like, I just love people for who they are. Like, it doesn't matter if they're religious, their sexuality, like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I just care about them as a person, and as I said, like this, I just feel like it's the right path for me. And I personally feel like I'm doing the right thing. But again, like, as you were saying, you can go do something else and it's the right path for you. And I think that's great. And I agree with everybody. And so, again, there's so many things about, the Mormon church that people, hear those things. And so, I mean, I definitely believe on it. But I agree with everything you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah. And when it comes to religion too, I've noticed, because I'm on some XJW's groups and I'm on some Mormon groups. By the way, I'm studying with, not anymore. It's complicated. I was studying with two awesome missionaries, and they had to drop it because they moved out of Brooklyn.
Oh.
And apparently they cannot step on someone else's turf, or they didn't say turf, but something like that. Like, they have to give me Brooklyn because they're in Manhattan now. So I'm very bummed out. I tried Brooklyn missionaries. It didn't vibe, I guess, because I'm so attached to them now. Yeah. So I'm searching someone new because I would love to know more and doing the studies. But then I'm on those groups, either ex-Mormon groups or XJWs, so I can like see what's going on and hear stories, whatever. And a lot of people, they feel like it's their duty to tell someone that they're wrong, and it's their duty to prove someone so they can help someone get out. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. You didn't like it. It didn't work out for you. You say, whatever happens to you, okay, I hear you, it happened to you. But if someone is blissfully happy doing whatever they do, personally, I think it's wrong to wake someone up from their reality or their dream or whatever it is, so they can join yours.
Yeah, I agree with that. People are nuts sometimes. I'm like, guys, come on. Jesus wouldn't come down and like say, he wouldn't do that. I mean, in the Bible, Jesus would like literally, there was this girl who literally would like sell herself off for like sex, and even the guards, everyone's like, cast her to hell. And yeah, Jesus is like, just don't do it again. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but he was like, just don't, like, just sin no more. And I'm like, look, guys, Jesus would never, he loves all of his children, no matter, again, who they are. And yeah, I see that all the time too, where they're just bashing, or they're saying you have to do this or you're wrong. And I know people like that. I know people in the LDS who I know, there's like, if you don't do this, it's over. I'm like, that's not fair to them. Like, it's not the right path for them. And yeah, I see that all the time. And it's like, this is not why I log on to Facebook or Instagram. I want to see funny pictures. I want to see vacation photos. I don't want to see that fighting stuff. It's crazy, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't read those fighting things anymore.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So have you ever made any researches about the LDS Church, or is that allowed?
Doing research on the church, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of it. I've read, obviously I've read the Book of Mormon. I've read through part of the Bible. Bible's a little tough, but no, I've done online stuff about it too. I like to hear what people have to say. I actually like reading and listening to really chill people who are saying like why I'm not LDS or Mormon anymore. I love reading those stories. And again, like, you see them and they look so happy in the videos and stuff. And I think that's great. Again, as I keep saying, it's really your life. And if it doesn't mold your life, or you feel like you feel miserable, you should never feel miserable with anything in your life. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. And so I don't know about so much research, but I've definitely watched videos of why people love the church, and I've watched people why they left. And I like hearing their stories. I just like to, and I'm not one of those guys where I get persuaded easily. Like, it's not going to be like, oh gosh, I have to leave now. But I like to hear what people have to say, And so I've done a little bit of kind of that research, kind of what their thoughts are on the LDS Church. So I've kind of done that a little bit.
Yeah. I call myself a scientist, but I don't have any degree or anything, but I just like the study. I love basically knowledge. I love knowing and figuring things out. And the more you know, the more you research. And that's one part of the reason, because I've done a lot of religious studies, mostly Christian religion studies. And so one of the studies I have not done intensively was Mormon. So when I started learning about that, so I was learning through ex-Mormons and people who were never Mormons. And then I was like, I want a different perspective, because first of all, it's not fair. It's not fair to only hear, example, if you have an ex, and then it's not fair to hear the story of your ex from her only and not get your story.
Right.
Because
exactly. I agree with that. Yeah, you got to hear both sides. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to hear both sides, brother. Absolutely. Yeah.
So when I started talking to a lot of missionaries on Facebook, so I was like, you know what? I'll take lessons, because why not? And they have told me a lot of things that the ex people who left, or people who's not. When it comes to knowledge, I don't like, if you're going to tell me facts, that's fine. But I don't like they're wrong and this is a criticism and they're wrong, and just tell me the facts. I don't care to hear your emotions, please. Like,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. I love that. Yeah. Just get right to it. Just tell me what's up.
Don't tell me why Joseph Smith is wrong because he did this and that and that. Just tell me, okay, Joseph Smith did this and that and that. And it's facts, fine. And we all know it's facts. And don't tell me your opinion about it. First of all, it's the past. And second, it's like, what's the point really? So that's why I started studying with them. And those two elders, they're wonderful. They seem like they know their stuff. They tell me their stuff, and I love talking to them. The vibe was great. And when I ask questions, if they don't know, they said they'll find out. And then the next lesson, they find out for me. And I love that. And the new ones, I felt like it was more, and I understand they're teenagers. And the other ones, they were like, they're probably men before their time. They're very adult-like and professional.
Yeah, definitely.
And the new ones, they want to hang out. Not really hang out, but they're more like, yo, 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 what's up, what's up? kind of types. And I'm like, and I'm like, I want to focus on the lesson here.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. You know, everyone's personality is so different. And there are some missionaries where you're like, man, they are so good. And there are, you know, obviously now that they changed it, you used to have to be 19 to go. A couple of years ago, they changed it where you could be 18, so they're way younger. So you get a lot of those 18-year-olds like, holy cow, you're just out of high school. You're kind of a dork. And I know you're doing the right thing, but yeah, I know. I knew a few missionaries like that. I'm like, holy cow, you're super young.
So how was your missionary life?
It was honestly really good. When I first started, it was hard, obviously, because you're homesick. You know, I was not prepared at all. I went to the I went to the MTC, the Missionary Training Center in Utah, and it was a good experience. I learned a lot, and then, you know, being out there for it's very, very strict. And you wake up at 6:30 every day. You shower, exercise, have personal study, companionship study, go out for a few hours, teach, and then come back for lunch, and then you go back out again, and then you have dinner, and then you're in by 9 o'clock. So you do the same thing every day for 7 days a week, and then obviously you go to church on Sunday and stuff, and so yeah, and it was very repetitive and redundant, but I kind of like that lifestyle. Like when I'm used to something, I just feel comfortable with it. So when I came home from my mission, I was kind of like lost. I was like, I don't have to get up this early, even though I still do. I can do anything I want. So it's not for everybody. It's a very hard, it's a hard 2 years. It's very rewarding, as I've mentioned before, but actually going out to do, I mean, it's very difficult. You have to, I mean, you go out, whether it's raining. We worked out like when there was like a flood where they told us like, you need to go home. I was in Colorado, so like we get snow all the time, and we just go out in snow and just walk. Or when it's summer outside and it's in the high altitude, I'll be honest, it was honestly miserable. Like it was so hot. So like, again, it's not for everybody. It's really hard. But again, I learned so much from doing it. And I feel like now I can share my story with people and tell them like, hey, I went through this really hard thing, but I was able to see I reaped the rewards. I'm a changed person because of it. So essentially that's pretty much all it was. Like, you know, every day was the same thing, and your companions made it fun, and I had a lot of good companions and stuff. So, but yeah, it was very, very just straightforward. Get the job done, and just do that for 2 years. I know it sounds brutal to some people, but I mean that's what we did. Yeah.
And if you have a companion that you get along with, I bet it's great, because if you are doing it alone, it could be depressing, regardless if you have God alongside you.
Oh gosh, it would have been. Yeah, all my companions were great. We all cracked jokes. Like, you know, we still would talk about like, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite video game? Like we would talk, and we had a great time. Like we just laugh all the time. And so, yeah, having a good companion makes it so much easier for sure.
Right. I've seen some of the elders, they are in 3 pairs because somehow someone left early or someone, I don't know how that works, but some of them I talk to, they're in 3s. And I think 3 is great, especially the more friends that you have around you, the merrier. Yeah. And when I talk to them, they often tell me about their day, and they sound excited, and they're doing their thing. It's kind of like going to, not exactly military, but if you go to military school, as in the waking up early, like the training or the practice of doing something constantly, and it will train your mind to become an adult. And I think it's a great service, because if you're waking up early and you have a goal in mind, and your goal is to succeed, so that will set you up for success as you become an early adult in your 20s, etc. So that's awesome.
Definitely. It definitely helped me for sure. I think that's just stayed wired in my brain since I served, and I've been back since 2015. So it's definitely stayed with me this whole time. Getting up early, helping others, like that hasn't gone away.
Yeah. So you got baptized around 8, I assume, then, since you were raised in a church?
Yeah, I was 8 when I was baptized. Yeah.
Are you currently holding any priesthood or anything, any titles?
Yeah, so I have the Melchizedek priesthood. So there's the Aaronic priesthood. It's been a while, so it's like 12 to 9. I think it's like 12 to 19 ish is when you have the Aaronic priesthood, and then I have the Melchizedek priesthood, where we can give people blessings, we can pass the sacrament and do those types of things. So yeah, I do hold the Melchizedek priesthood in the church. Yeah.
So I've met a lot of Mormons who are married. So let's say if you die before you married, like what's the teachings about that? Because it seems like it's promoted to find a family so you can live internally with them, with Father God. So how about if you die single? What happens?
That's a good question, because I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I do believe in God's plan of salvation. I do believe, like, if for example, if we pass on and we don't learn about the gospel, like, we'll get a chance to learn, we'll have the opportunity to learn, once we, become in his presence. And so I personally believe, and yeah, I mean, that's part of God's plan. He wants us to, have a family, and be married and on this earth. And, sometimes a lot of us don't get that opportunity, and a lot of us pass on earlier than we expect. And of course, we never know when we're going to go. And so I do believe there's somebody out there for everybody. Essentially, I mean, there could be someone up there, waiting for you. I do believe in that. And if someone wants to have that, then I believe that they can. I think that they can have that in the next life if they choose to do so. Because again, we just never know when we're going to pass on. And it's funny, I had that asked before, and unfortunately I don't have like a super amazing answer, because I've looked at it myself going like, yeah, that is true. Like, what if that happens? But I mean, just because I believe in God's plan of salvation, when he gives other people a chance, I feel like there will be a chance for someone to meet that special someone, when they pass on. Like, they could still be together if they pass away single. So I do believe on that. Sorry, I don't have a crazy super in-depth.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, most of us don't have answers to those big things because they're bigger than us. Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. And that's okay. And I think, one day we'll learn why. But yeah, sometimes in life you just have to, sometimes we don't know the answer, and that's okay. But we can always learn and study. And I think that's really important to do so as well.
Right. Because I thought I met the love of my life in August 2020, and there you go.
Exactly. I thought I met the love of my life back in 2017, and nope, that did not go over well. So I get it. I absolutely understand it, man. It's hard. It really is.
Yeah. So tell us about your entrepreneur adventures.
Entrepreneur adventures. In my personal life?
Yeah, like what you're doing in your life now, the YouTube and the music, all your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So with YouTube, so as I said, I was in the hospital a little while ago, so I hurt my back. So I'm actually not, the only job I have right now is technically YouTube and Patreon is what I've been doing. So that's what I do right now. Once I get my insurance again, I'm going to go to the doctor and get everything checked out and make sure everything's good. But right now I'm just doing YouTube and stuff full time. So I try to do a video a day, kind of to see what's popular, and I'll post that. With Patreon, I do like full album reactions, so people can pay me to like react to full albums. So I do that a lot. So I'm constantly working on videos. It takes up the majority of the day, which I really like doing, keeps me busy. With the music, it's going to probably be a little while just because, again, every time I try to scream, my back hurts. So I got to be careful. But my friend Miguel, he's a really talented, like pretty much he's a producer. He doesn't do it as his job, but he's just really good at what he does. So he's putting together all this stuff and it sounds really cool. So I'm going to have new music on my channel really soon. And again, I do vocal covers. I'm not vocal covers. I do like videos, reactions, like all the time. There's always something new on my channel. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now while I'm healing, is just being home, working on YouTube and writing lyrics for the music that we're making. So that's essentially what I'm doing right now. Really, really easy life. I can't say it's not bad. It's not too bad at all. I really enjoy it.
Nice. It's very important to enjoy what you do. I tell people living in New York City, just of, again, my personal perception, like I've talked to some coworkers and they'll tell me how tough things are. I guess my response sometimes is not the greatest because from what I see online, I don't believe in that term, but from what I see online, there's this thing called toxic positivity, where a coworker would tell me it's tough. And I would tell them, I get it, but it's New York City. If something ends, it's up to you to find something better and make sure you get something better. You're not like in Oklahoma. I've never been there, so I'm not bashing Oklahoma. But it's not like you're in Oklahoma or some back country where there's only Walmart to work at.
Right. Exactly.
And then if Walmart fires you, then what do you do? It's like you're in New York City. There's 8 million people here. So there's 8 million jobs. Like,
oh yeah.
So I guess for some people that's toxic positivity because it's not like feeling the person. I'm feeling them, but I'm basically also pushing them to be like, hey, you don't need to be down so much on yourself.
Sure.
You can do, there's so many things you can do. And maybe a door closing is actually good because it's God or the universe or whatever is telling you, okay, that chapter is over. Now you need to grow.
Exactly.
Because anything in life you need to grow. And so I love that you're doing your thing. And I would tell my coworkers or anybody, I am blessed. I won't say never, but to rarely do anything that I don't want to do. 2 weeks ago, there was a good job. $26 is not a lot of money for New Yorkers, but it was $26 for it was gonna last for a whole month and was like 12 hours a day. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be some juicy money. Yeah. I last 2 days and I hated my life.
Right.
And then so when it was come to the next schedule, I told the booker, I was just like, thank you for the opportunity, but this is not for me.
Yeah.
And people think I'm crazy. Like, how do you let go of a job? It pays you well. And I could have made like a good $1,500 at the end of the week.
Right.
But you know what? If I'm not happy, I cannot do it. I'm sorry.
I agree with that. 100% I agree with that. Yeah, if you're not happy, then close that door, try a new one. I mean, you were there for 2 days, and I think that's totally respectable. You knew you weren't happy. You're like, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm out. And a lot of people get stuck in that perspective of like, I need money. And like, obviously, yeah, we all need money. We all need to work. But I mean, again, we have this one life. You should be happy because you're going to be at work the majority of your life. You should be happy. Yeah, 12 hours. Like you should at least be happy for some of that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree. No, I think you did the right thing. Absolutely. I'm on board with you with that for sure.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I did that. And of course, some people will see it as you're not committing to whatever. And I was like, you know, one thing 2020 taught me a lot of things, but 2020 taught me one thing about work. I got to commit to myself first.
Yes, absolutely.
Not a job. Yeah. I got to commit to my health, my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed in that job and hate my life, come home and hate people around me because I'm frustrated and angry and unhappy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know, funny thing is, when I said, okay, I couldn't do it, 2 days later, the job ended last weekend, but my other regular job asked us to go to Rhode Island and they paid for hotel, everything. And I had the best week of my life.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then so I was telling my coworker, I was like, imagine if I felt small and felt a lack. I would stay in that job that pays more for more hours and I'll be miserable.
Right.
And then because I said I don't want to do it anymore, I actually got something that's like, it's less money, less hours, but I was really happy. So that's really
Good.
important.
Yeah, that's important. I love that. I love when people share stories like that. It's like, I mean, you're living proof, like, again, like, just be happy with what you're doing. You had a great week and like, you know, it may pay a little less, but that's okay. You're happy. You had a great time. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's really, really cool. So props to you for doing that. For
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. I was grateful too that I committed to myself, because
Yeah, I love
prior
that.
to 2020, most of us have committed to work and other people. And what did it do for us, really? Like mentally. So
Exactly.
I learned from that. So how can someone watching this can reach out to you or find your work?
I love that. Absolutely. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram. It's Chandler Burton 314. That's my personal Instagram. I reply to everybody. I'm not one of I hate the stigma of like when people, they're like, oh, he's a monetized YouTuber now, he doesn't have time to talk. Like, no, I will definitely reply. So Chandler Burton 314 is the best way to get a hold of me. If you leave a YouTube comment, I always reply to those, negative or positive. I always reply to those. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. If you ever want to chat, if you ever want to talk about mental health, music, or anything like that, leave a comment. Let me know you want to talk, or add me on Instagram, because I will talk to you and I will reply. So those are the best ways to find me.
5 wisdom, if you have 5, that you can tell someone who's probably going through this similarly experience have you gone through.
Yeah, 5. I like that. Okay. I would say, number 1 is know your self-worth. Like, just know that you're not alone struggling with this. Like, it's okay. And there's no reason to be ashamed. I say number 2 is to be strong. Like, take those steps that you need to do to tell somebody that you're struggling and to pick the right steps. 3, I would say be open with people. Like, if someone asks you, I just be like, you know what? Yeah. Because I've had people come up to me and just tell me, like, hey, I saw some of your songs. It seems like you're kind of down. I'm like, I am. And they're like, oh, really? And I just tell them what I'm going through. I'm trying to think of 2 more. I would say I'd say, be kind. I think being kind is a really big thing. Is just, if you're the one struggling, if you know that you're going through a hard time, and you just know, like, the depression is just going to, if you say something, it's going to hurt somebody, just maybe write it out. Don't try to take it out on other people, because that's just not going to give a good image. And if you're on the other side of that, obviously, as we were talking about earlier, you had to walk in those shoes and know what it feels like. Not everybody's going to go through that. So again, just being kind. And then I would say the last thing is, make it personal. I think when you make something personal for yourself, I've learned that on my mission. Like, when you can relate to something, as I said, I relate to music and I love music. When I relate to something, I want to do it. Like, if someone were to tell me, like, Chandler, you need to do this to be better, I'm like, that may help you, but it ain't going to help me. So I'm saying, like, for me, music, when I read it, I know I want to apply it to my life. And when I read it, I'm like, you know what? I can do it. And because I personally want to do it, that's when I know I'm going to make those changes. So I'd say those 5 simple things will really equal into making you a better person, making you feel better as a person. Because you're right, there's so much good in this life. There's so many good people. There's so many, trying a new restaurant, going to see a movie, a concert. Like, there's so many good things in life that we're going to miss out on if we decide to end it early. So I'd say those things definitely would, I can definitely help somebody.
Wow, that was so beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's awesome. And when I asked for 5, I kind of like felt bad. I was like, oh my God, maybe 5 is too much. But
no, you're good.
But you mentioned, like, it was so wonderful. And
thank you.
So that was like the right number to ask then. Great.
Perfect. Yeah. I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being as well here. And everyone, when you're watching this, make sure to visit Chandler on his channel and also his Instagram. And I'll post those on the description below. And stay tuned for next episode. Ciao.
Awesome. Thanks again.